You know, this SB 453, and we kind of joke about it, but last in, first out is a very important subject. And yes, it's my third time before this committee with this bill, but not once has the idea been rejected entirely on principle. Instead, we've been told that we need more time to analyze the issue. In fact, the first time I brought this up, I got it out of this committee. You may remember that historic moment for which most of us celebrated until the pro tem pulled it into rules or appropriations. He needed a time for, quote, cooling off. And I can assure you it has not only cooled off, it has assumed room temperature, a euphemism for having died. That bill never got a vote on the floor, which most bills do get, and I'm hopeful that we can advance this a little bit further this year. 2 years ago, my second bill died because of the time the committee chair said we needed a new evaluation before we could pass this kind of reform. Again, we needed more time. Folks, I think we've had enough time. Certainly, kids don't have more time. They have a very short period of time. It seems like an eternity for them when they start kindergarten or preschool and they matriculate through the different grades. But the quality of the education, the quality of the educator in the classroom does make a difference. SB 453 is a simple idea. It produces a simple but impactful idea that school districts, it allows them to use job performance as one of many factors when making layoffs or reassessments. It allows school districts to keep their best teachers. This shouldn't be controversial. It isn't controversial. SB 453 does not jettison seniority, otherwise known as the last in, first out, or LIFO policy. Even if this bill became law, seniority is still a factor as part of a more holistic approach to staffing decisions. Think about it. It's currently illegal for a school district to keep its best teachers. This is indefensible. Teachers are not widgets. They're not interchangeable parts that don't negatively or positively impact their students any more than another one. I've said this before. All of us who went to school had bad teachers, at least one of them, sometimes more. We all knew who they were. The teachers all knew where they were. The administrators all knew who they were. And the parents knew who they were. But because our system treats them all as widgets, as interchangeable parts of the education machine, we don't allow schools to take into effect whether or not they can fog a mirror. That's about the only criteria, but certainly teaching effectiveness is not one of the criteria. The evidence shows that we really can close the stubborn achievement gap simply by ensuring we have the ability to recruit and retain the best teachers. That's not surprising. Kids spend most of their time in a classroom. Who's teaching in that classroom does matter. We all say that, and yet here is an example of how we can make a difference by how we retain the teachers when we have to make those tough decisions. We have over half our schools in declining enrollment. There's going to be decisions made to let teachers go regardless of the state budget because individual districts have their own dynamics. SB 453 is supported by the California's business community because a quality education and human capital is directly linked to a quality workforce and economy. It's supported by civil rights groups because education is a right afforded by the state constitution and is not being delivered equally to every child in California. It is supported by the education community because there are the people who see the effects of the last in, first out and what it does to children. Supported by parent groups because parents, simply put, are fed up with the LIFO policy. Policy supported by both Republicans and Democrats across the state, including LA Mayor and former Speaker Antonio Villaraigosa. While union leadership won't be here in support today, when surveyed, teachers themselves show very strong support for reforming the seniority policy, about 75% strong. I want to tell you anecdotally one story and then I'll close. A couple of years ago when I was carrying this bill before, I had a teacher who had been working for 12 years in a system, got numerous Teacher of the Year awards. She wanted to come back to her home community she grew up in. So at the time, the budget hadn't sort of collapsed. She came back and she started over in seniority. Well, the pink slips came out. She had to go. Didn't matter, she's effective, and by all qualifications, she had been an experienced 12-year teacher. But because our policies say that you're quality blind when you make these decisions, she was cut. I think that's indefensible, folks. This is a common sense approach to help at least have a portion of the decision-making based on teacher performance. I ask for your aye vote.